guys, we YouTube here back with another video. So YCS Miami has come to a close, the second last YCS of the format, if my memory serves. We have YCS Bochum next week, and there's another YCS in Chile or something like that. And then Windups go kaboom! But yeah, Windups won that YCS, but I'm more concerned with the top 4 decks, most notably the Karakuri OTK deck and Billy Break's Mermail deck, which is quite innovative and creative, as usual. He's sort of a miracle worker at times, because I look at his builds and I'm like, how the hell did he top with this? It's just so unconventional. Nevertheless, we're going to take a look at the deck, and I believe this is the type of Mermail deck that Konami originally intended, players to build, based on the pure Mermail engine, more than one Abyss Feather Trap, not just Abyss Sphere, and no Genix Undine. And that is exactly what this build is. So the Genix Undine engine was scrapped, as well as Moonland Glacier the Elemental Lords, since it's not nearly as heavily reliant upon the graveyard, except to special summon monsters from the graveyard. So if they're in the graveyard, they're not going to be there for very long. So we have 3 Atlantean Dragoons, 1 Infantry, and 3 Marksmen. That's pretty much it for the Atlantean engine. Destroying face-up monsters, or destroying face-up cards, isn't really a big deal, because he can go into rank 7 so easily and just take them. He has Dark Hull as well. He also has Compulse to return to the hand, some Judgment for control, and other things like that, so not that big a deal. 3 Deep Sea Divas, which allows him to go through Synchros, which is pretty much what the deck is all about. He probably keeps the Infantry in the deck because he doesn't want to draw it, because he's more likely to draw into Diva, and then he can go into Infantry, normal summon Marksman, and go into, say, Gungnir, for example. For the Mermails, he has 15 of them. 2 Abyss Goons, 1 Abyss Lead, 3 Abyss Lins, 3 Abyss Megalos, 3 Abyss Spikes, and 3 Abyss Teus. So Abyss Teus was one of those overlooked TCG exclusives, although I was sort of hyping the card when it originally came out. The reason it didn't work for me personally was because I ran it in a build which ran Genix Undines, and to be honest with you, I always drew the card dead. However, if I made a more dedicated build like Billy Break has done here, it would probably work a lot more effectively. The best combination with Abyss Teus is obviously with Atlantean Dragoons in your opening hand. You would ditch Dragoons for Abyss Teus. You would then search an Abyss Goon and any other Mermail monster such as Abyss Lead. If you have another Mermail monster in your hand, which is the condition for this to be successful, you can then ditch, say, the Goon and the Lead for the Megalo, or the Goon and the Lind for the Megalo, or whatever, because the Megalo is what you will search with Abyss Teus. And then you special summon the Lead back. So then you have 3 level 7 monsters in the field. Keep Abyss Teus in attack position for the effect of Abyss Lead. So you use this effect to tribute the Abyss Teus and take a card out of your opponent's hand, and then you overlay for Abyss Gaios, and you set Sphere and maybe an MST and end. It's a pretty good first turn. Your opponent can't attack with level 5 or higher monsters. You can negate all of their effects, and you've already taken a card out of their hand. So it's pretty awesome. As for the spells, he has Dark Hull, Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn, and 3 copies of MST, and 1 Pot of Avarice. Pot of Avarice is pretty much a staple. Although I can sort of understand why he ran it, to recycle the likes of Diva and Marksmans and things, but I don't think he'd be recycling the Mermails. I think he'd be keeping them in his graveyard, except perhaps for if he knew he still had 2 Lins in the deck, for example. And honestly, depends on the situation. 3 copies of Abyss Sphere and 2 copies of Abyss-Squall. For those of you who don't know what this does, it pretty much allows you to special summon 3 Mermails from your graveyard. Their effects are negated, they can't declare an attack, and they're destroyed during the end phase. So what you will more than likely do is special summon a Lind and 2 other Mermails that can be overlaid. So 2 level 7s, for example. Then you would overlay into an Abyss Gaios and a Big Eye, take something during the end phase, the Abyss Lind would be destroyed, and then you'll be able to special summon another Mermail from the deck. So you're not actually minusing off the card, you're plussing off it. So that's what makes it somewhat decent. Would I recommend this in a deck that runs less than 15 Mermails? Probably not. Because if you look at the other builds of Mermails, obviously the one with Genix Undine, I think it only runs about 8. So this is the build I'm currently running on Dueling Network. It runs 3 Abyss Lins, 1 Abyss Goon, 2 Abyss Megalos, and 2 Abyss Spikes. So that's it. That's 8 Mermails. This one runs 15, which is almost double that. So that is why people overlooked Abyss-Squall. That is like a practical example of why. He also runs 1 Compulse, 1 Safe Zone, and 1 Solemn Judgment. So Safe Zone is pretty much for defense. I'd say if you have Abyss Lead on the field and you want to annoy your opponent, just give it a Safe Zone. It can be targeted or destroyed, and then you're constantly taking cards out of your opponent's hand while you're attacking directly with other monsters. Solemn Judgment, probably just for defense, and Compulsory Evacuation Device for those annoying XYZs that it's often difficult to get over, such as Windups Mains. You pretty much need to use them all of your attacks just to get over it. For the Synchros, we have Army Arm, Cataster, Dual Iron, Hyper Librarian, Gungnir, Scrap Dragon, and Stardust Dragon. For the XYZs, we have Gachi Gachi Gentetsu. Rank 3s, we have Zen Mains and Leviathan Dragon. Abyss Dweller, the only rank 4. And 4 rank 7s, 2 Abyss Gaios and 2 Big Eye. They're pretty much the boss monsters of the deck. They are pretty much what allow him to control the opponent so effectively. And as I say, in other builds involving Genix Undine, you literally will not have space in your extra deck for all this stuff, because you would have to fit in more a couple more rank 3 XYZs maybe, and whatever else. Actually, I'm just gonna check because I'm just trying to figure out how we fit space. Oh yeah, of course you would run a Mistworm, and you would also run perhaps the Bahamut Shark and Abyss Stride engine, because it would be a lot more common that you would have an Abyss Pike face him on the field, and perhaps an opportunity to normal summon Atlantean Dragoons. And never mind the fact that Bahamut Shark is a great way to help you get 5 water monsters in grave, and to search up Moon Glacia and other stuff like that. So pretty much the deck has a different mentality. You know, it isn't about recycling your Atlanteans back to your hand. It isn't about salvaging things. It isn't about the draw power that necessitates you draw multiple cards per turn in order to ditch for Abyss Megalo. It's about the graveyard. It's not so much about the hand anymore. See, the only purpose of the graveyard in the original Mermail deck with Genix Undines is for Moon Glacia and for Pot of Avarice. But in this Mermail deck, you pretty much have to think about what you discard all the time, not just the Atlanteans. Because as you see, you know, he has so much stuff that can discard water monsters from the hand. He has Abyss Pikes, he has 3 Abyss Teus, an Abyss Lead, and 3 Abyss Megalos. So without salvages, when the Atlanteans are gone, they're gone. But, you know, in the case of Abyss Teus, he needs to think about, you know, when I ditch Goond, what targets do I have in the graveyard, and so forth. Abyss-Squalls is also another card that concentrates on the graveyard, so it's pretty much more of a graveyard-based deck. That isn't to say that Macrocosmos won't still shut it down, because obviously it will, but I think it is a very innovative build for what he was trying to do. Anyway guys, I'm going to leave the video there, so be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe as always, and let me know what you think of his build. Of course, it is innovative as ever, as I've said, and I hope to test it out very soon and see if it actually works for me. Because his last build with Ultimate Offerings and Raigeki Breaks and 3 controllers and stuff like that, that didn't work for me personally, but I can definitely understand how it could work. So I'm going to test it out and see. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.